some income supports, what to do around, how do I pay my rent, and I'm having trouble meeting my bills, and what kind of supports are available from the government right now, and how do I know if I qualify? All of those kind of great things that we can cover off. So we'll get into that in a moment. But in order to help kind of bring things together in a centralized place, we've pulled together multiple community partners across the community who are helping to support some of our community's most vulnerable in terms of seniors and people needing help with food security. Support for our incredible volunteers that are coming together to be able to help jump in and get involved in the community and really want to know, like, how can I help, and let's find a way to get you connected and helping to support folks that are needing some support right now, particularly as we're practicing social distancing and having an increasing number of folks that are moving into self-isolation. So to kick things off, I guess, I'll just show you quickly what the CK Gives site looks like. So I'm just going to share my screen. And I think that's it. We'll soon find out. All right, and there we are. So this is the local love in a global crisis piece, which we also covered off yesterday as well. But you're able to go through and very clearly find how you can volunteer. If you want to donate to help those in need in the community, this is a great way to be able to do that. If you need help, you can get your information here. And we also have the COVID-19 Student Nutrition Food Assistance Program that came live on Monday. And so if you are a parent who have school-age children who are relying upon that program and you need to access it, this is how you do it. And you just go and click the register button. You'll fill out a very quick form. And from there, someone will be in contact with you and we'll have a gift card to your local grocery store that's of your choosing within 48 hours of registering to ensure that your children can continue to have access to nutritious meals during the school closures. And then from here, in terms of some of the things that today, we're going to be talking about getting help. And on this site here, there's a number of resources that we pulled together from trustworthy, reliable sources. The information we're not hosting live on this site just because it's updating and changing so quickly. So we're linking, directing, and connecting to those sites that are being updated on a regular basis to ensure you have the absolute best information possible to be able to make the decisions for yourself and your families as we move through COVID-19 together. So today what we're going to be talking about is with Phil Mock from the Prosperity Roundtable. And for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to meet Phil, he's an incredible human being that we are so fortunate to have working in our community. I know on the radio I've been talking about him as our community's goalie, right? And ensuring that if there's any kind of government supports or anything like that that are available to help folks in need to be able to come together and access the resources and supports that they need. He's the wall, nothing's getting by this guy, and we're going to make sure that you're connected and well supported and able to find and connect again to those resources. So I would now like to introduce you to Philip Mock, and I'll allow Phil to take things over from here. And then Phil, when you're ready to begin screen sharing, let me know, and I'll kind of click through so folks can follow along and make sure that they know where and how to find these supports. But anyway, welcome to Philip Mock.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve, for such a wonderful introduction. I really appreciate it. And thank you. I'll let you know when we want to start screen sharing. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Philip Mock, and I'm the project coordinator for the Chatham-Kent Prosperity Roundtable. Our organization is a local initiative working to sustainably and significantly reduce poverty across Chatham-Kent for every person in every community so everyone can thrive. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we really had to sit back and think to ourselves, where can we best be suited to have the best help get out there for the people of this community? And we thought, well, we know that the government does a great job of coming up with complex programs, but it's tough to try and explain those programs to people who need to access them. So we decided we're going to be looking at, over the next couple of weeks during this crisis, we're going to be looking at what are the policies, what's the new legislation coming out, what income supports and social supports are available for you, sort of go through and really understand what it means and tell you in a plain language way how to apply, if you're eligible, and so forth. So right now, we're basically going to start talking about employment insurance and the new emergency relief benefit. So Steve, if you want to share that screen for me.
So just to quickly jump in, so we're back on the CK Cares site, and if you're looking for, or sorry, ckgives.ca, and then under the latest COVID-19 information, the link is right here for the CK Prosperity Roundtable, which will take you right here. And back over to you, Phil.
Perfect. So you can either go through ckgives.ca, or you can just type into your Google Prosperity Roundtable, and it should be the first website that pops up. So as you can see, this is our landing page. You click on COVID-19 support updates. And this is the page that provides different links to different pages depending on what information you're looking for. So Steve, if you scroll down a little bit, clicking on income supports. Okay, so everybody knows about employment insurance. Usually the biggest two benefits that people apply to are regular benefits and sickness or sick benefits. Now, right now, what's happening is actually just half an hour ago, we got an update from the federal government. So this might sound brand new to some of you. But right now, what's happening is if you've applied for employment insurance, so that's regular benefits, sickness benefits, or any other type of employment insurance, before March 15th, 2020, you will receive, if you're eligible, you will receive employment insurance. If you apply to employment insurance on or after March 15th, 2020, you will automatically be receiving the emergency relief benefit. So I'm not going to talk too much about employment insurance because really as we move forward, everyone's going to be receiving the emergency relief benefit. So if you can scroll down a little bit more, Steve. And for the sort of would you apply, and you can keep scrolling down. Perfect. So applying for the emergency relief benefit. So again, this is a brand new benefit that is coming out. Applications are going to be open April 6th. That's basically the end of this week. April 6th, they open. So to determine if you're eligible, you have to be out of work because of the COVID-19 crisis. You have not worked in the last 14 days straight. You cannot have left your job voluntarily. Now, I really want to stress this. A lot of people have been contacting us, sharing their concerns for going to work if they actually getting coronavirus, the COVID-19 virus. I will say that if you choose, I'm not a lawyer and this is not legal advice, just to be clear, but if you choose not to go to work because of safety concerns, you absolutely have the right, if the workplace is unsafe, not to go to work. However, in this situation, unsafe workplace is determined by, it's basically determined by if your workplace is following public health recommendations. So if your employer is not following through with public health recommendations and putting you at risk, you do have that right to leave. However, if you leave work and don't return because you're worried, but they are following public health recommendations, there could be concerns on your end. So I really would recommend considering that fact and talking to an employment lawyer if you have any questions. Okay, so back to eligibility. So again, you're not receiving the emergency relief benefit or in current employment insurance programs. So if you're in receipt of employment insurance or the emergency relief benefit, you cannot get it again, or you can't get the emergency relief benefit. You have to wait for your employment insurance to finish and then apply if you're still at work. And lastly, you have earned at least $5,000 in the past 12 months or in the 2019 year. So really, they tried to make this this benefit as broad as possible. So it could be, you could be anybody who have lost their job. You could be sick or quarantined or looking after somebody who's sick with the coronavirus. You could be a parent who's staying home looking after children. You could be a wage earner, contract worker, self-employed. Basically, as long as you are out of work, you've made $5,000 in the last 12 months, you've been out of work for at least 14 days, and you didn't quit voluntarily, you're set. And this is how you're going to apply. So Steve, if you scroll down a little bit more, I should mention actually, as before we keep going, you will receive about $2,000 per month. So it's $500 per week up to 4 months, and it comes in a lump sum payment every 4 weeks. So to apply, you can either apply by a toll-free telephone number that has not been released yet, or you can apply online through a MyCRA account, My Canada Revenue Agency account. So this account really is made by the Canada Revenue Agency, so you can see your tax forms, your GST checks, your CCB or child benefit checks coming in. You can see all that information. They are now going to be adding a link to apply for the emergency relief benefit on that account. But to create a MyCRA account, you need an access code. So we really strongly recommend that if you're going to apply for the emergency relief benefit, right now go and start opening up your MyCRA account, because it will take about 10 business days for your access code to come in the mail. So the earlier you request it and start filling out your account, you're getting MyCRA account, the better. Okay, and as you can see right there, we have a link on our website to start requesting your access code and setting up your MyCRA account. And really, it's quite simple. All you need is your social insurance number, basic biography information, and line 101 from your 2018 tax return. Now, if you don't meet the criteria for the emergency relief benefit, there are some. Don't worry, because there's also the Emergency Assistance Fund through the municipality. Emergency assistance is a temporary financial assistance program that could help you cover the basic necessities such as rent, food, transportation, childcare, etc. And really, this could be funding for people who are actually receiving employment insurance but have a really big unexpected expense like medication. It could be for someone who was not eligible for employment insurance or the new emergency relief benefit. It could be somebody who's working but receiving a very little income and unable to cover basic needs. So it really is quite broad, and the municipality will really work with you to determine if you're eligible for this funding. And to apply, all you have to do is call the number on the screen, press 0, and you'll speak to an intake worker. After you speak to an intake worker, they are going to have assigned you to a case manager, and the case manager will help you fill out the application over the phone with you. So it's pretty straightforward. What I'll do is I'll actually jump on there and I'll add the link, because you can actually apply online as well if you prefer. So Steve, if you want to go back up to the top. And just the top right, you can see the big, huge blue button that says COVID-19. So if you scroll down a little bit more, there we go. So we scroll down. If you want to type on supports for low income, but before you do, hold on a sec, Steve. As you can see, the answers to your questions, we've had people pose really good what if questions for us already. We've done a lot of research, and so we posted their questions, no biographical information. We just posted their question and our response to them. So if you have questions that do not really fit the information we shared under the income supports page, you can go to answer to your questions, and either your answer might be there, or you can pose a question and we'll answer it as best we can. Okay, so supports for low income. So right now, the biggest thing with the supports for low income are the Canada Child Benefit and the GST checks. If you have children, and especially if you're living with low income, the child benefit or the baby bonus will really be a big help coming forward. In May, for at least May, they're going to be increasing the Canada Child Benefit for up to $550 per child per month. So make sure that you are actually receiving it, and if you are eligible. It does depend on your income levels, and really you should know if you're receiving the Canada Child Benefit if you have kids, and mostly everyone's receiving it every year they've had their children. With the GST checks, this is especially important for individuals who are living with low income. The GST check, it has a lower income range. So basically, if you make above a certain amount of money, you're not going to receive it. But the GST checks is really made for individuals living in low income, and it's about $100 to $300 a month, depending on your income level. But in May, they're going to be increasing it for individuals up to, they're going to give a lump sum payment of $400 in May for individuals and $600 for couples. So it's just a one-time quick check just to help you boost up that income level for the month. And if you're on social assistance, that's Ontario Works, Ontario Disability, really impress upon you to call your worker if you're struggling. Things are changing right now. People have to go out and are shopping constantly. People with kids at home, they have mouths to feed 3 times a day. There's a lot of money going towards groceries and other necessities, including increased hydro rates, for example. So if you're on social assistance and you're struggling, contact your caseworker and see what discretionary benefits might be available for you at this time. And one last thing I should add about the GST checks is that, as Steve was pointing out, yes, you will receive your April GST check, and a second check will come with the $400 or $600, depending on your family. Okay, Steve, so if you want to go back to the top for me. Thanks. And scroll down, and then let's go to rent and utilities. So the biggest key message we could say is please, please, please pay your rent. We know there are people out there who are struggling to cover just the basic necessities such as food every day, and rent is probably farthest from people's minds. Today is April 1st, but I really want to impress upon you that there's been no rent payment freezes. Everything is running as usual for paying your rent. So if you can pay it, please do. There are income support programs out there that could help you. I've mentioned a couple, being emergency assistance or the emergency relief benefit. Rent increase rules still apply. So what that means basically is the landlord can only increase your rent once per year. So if all of a sudden your landlord has showed up and said, well, we're going to increase your rent because of the crisis, that is not allowed. And so when I say the anniversary, the rental anniversary, if you moved in July 1st, they can only increase your rent on July 1st every year. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're paying your rent. And if there's any concerns you might have about any increases or even just worries about what's going on with rent or even tenant-landlord relationship concerns, I would recommend calling Jeff Wilkins at the CK Legal Clinic. The number is right there on your screen. You leave a voicemail, and Jeff will contact you within 24 to 48 hours. With eviction notices, all have been postponed. That means if you have had an eviction order put against you, you do not have to follow it. They're not going to enforce that right now, and no new orders can be created. However, that doesn't mean that once the crisis is done, landlords cannot continue with the eviction. So you got to be careful here. Don't just stop paying your rent because you think this is a holiday. We have to make sure we're paying rent as best as possible. We know there's other circumstances, but pay your rent as best as possible because evictions will eventually start happening again, okay? Tips for paying rent. I really want to say there's 3 tips we kind of have. So one is, if we're with landlords are people too. They're struggling just as much, and they're trying to figure out this whole thing out alongside you. So speak with your landlords, see what you guys can come up with, what options you can come up with. For example, we have heard that some landlords have allowed people to pay their rent once their employment insurance or other income support comes in later in the month, or they put people on a payment plan. If you have applied for employment insurance or you're waiting to apply for the emergency relief benefit and you're still waiting for that first payment to come in, we recommend using credit, savings, or any other finances you might have to cover rent, at least for this month. Why we recommend that is usually when you apply for employment insurance or even the emergency relief benefit, they will back pay you to when you first applied. So if you're waiting 2, 3, 4 weeks for that income to come in, they will back pay you those 3 to 4 weeks so you can put money back into your savings or pay off your credit cards at that time. If you're waiting on employment insurance or you cannot apply for it right now and you have no credit or no savings to cover rent and other necessities, again, apply for the emergency assistance. It's really straightforward, and even if you're not eligible, they'll keep your application on file in case you do become eligible again in the coming months. And then again, I just have some more information about how to apply for emergency assistance if that is of interest for you. And lastly, hydro. So as we know, hydro, they have actually reduced across the province. All hydro companies are now reducing their hydro rates to off-peak hours. That's the least cost hydro rates all day long. So you're not dealing with high hydro rates during the day and low hydro rates at night. It's now all going to be off-peak rates, and you do not have to apply for this reduction. This is an automatic reduction to your bill. Back up to the top, Steve, and we'll go to COVID, back to that button at COVID-19. And then let's go to support for businesses. So this page, just as Steve had said about stkgives.ca, we are not necessarily the experts at business, but economic development with the municipality is. So we did on this page share a little bit about the wage subsidy program, but for all other business-related income support programs, like for example, interest-free loans for businesses, we've at the bottom of the page linked to economic development's website, because they really are the experts and they do have a ton of great information about what supports are out there for businesses. Okay, so the wage subsidy program has just been announced. Eligibility is still being determined, but this is really for businesses not